Sebastian Vettel, a four-time world champion, said on Thursday that he will be retiring from Formula One at the conclusion of the current season. He explained that his priorities had shifted and that he wanted to concentrate more on his family and activities outside of the sport. Stay tuned to hear all we know about his retirement. Without further ado, let's dive into what we have on Sebastian. Vettel, considered one of the greatest F1 racers ever, was a power-packed performer on the racetrack during his years with Red Bull, and starting off with karting at the age of 3 may have helped him hone his skills. Born in Heppenheim in then West Germany, Vettel made it to the Red Bull Junior team in 1998 at the age of 9 before gradually making his way towards the big league. The 35-year-old German, who drives for the Aston Martin team, won his titles with Red Bull from 2010 to 13 and also spent 6 seasons with Ferrari. He made the announcement ahead of this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix, the 13th round of the season and last race before the August break. "I hereby announce my retirement from Formula One by the end of the 2022 season," he said in a video statement explaining his reasons on a newly created Instagram page. "I love this sport. It has been central to my life since I can remember. But as much as there is life on track, there's my life off track too. Being a racing driver has never been my sole identity." Moving on, why were Williams keen to keep Albon? Jost Capito had great hopes for Albon after a year as Red Bull's reserve. Albon's criticism and relentless work ethic helped Red Bull win its first driver's title in almost a decade with Max Verstappen. Capito had a driver in Albon who he knew would be driven to produce, possessed raw speed, and would revitalize a floundering squad while bringing knowledge from a world championship winning team. He finished his task in little over a half year. Every weekend, he takes use of the automobile, which is an engineer's dream since it allows them to identify where they can improve. His contributions are visible and constant, and he exceeds co-worker Nicholas Latifi. He has a wonderful attitude that promotes team spirit in the brand. Making this declaration now would put an end to rumors that he might join Alpine if Oscar Piastri did not get the job, and would enable Albon to concentrate on the balance of the season. When he was introduced, the club simply said that he will be driving in 2022, but I believe the contract was multi-year, with Williams having the option to extend it beyond that initial season. The long-term agreement between Capito and Albon is crucial. He understands his value. The new multi-year agreement implies that both drivers might remain until 2024 when the driver market opens up. Williams needed a steady driver, and Albon got satisfied to climb the grid. As a result of this, racer Sarah Bovey said that money, not gender, is the greatest hurdle she faces as female stars seek for F1. Girls in racing face a sort of prejudice that prevents them from achieving their goals and realizing their aspirations. However, sports car driver Sarah Bovey believes that the prejudice she faces is not related to her gender in any way. "In my opinion, the biggest discriminatory aspect in racing is not whether a competitor is a man or a woman, rather, it is the amount of money they have." The Belgian driver made this point very clear during an exclusive interview with Daily Star Sport. "It's costing too much from a young age," the driver said. After trying her hand at karting when she was younger, Bovey was instantly hooked on auto racing. She was hooked the instant she got behind the wheel for the first time. But in a sport in which the magnitude of your family's money balance is sometimes a more essential aspect than sheer talent, enthusiasm will only get you so far. As a direct consequence of this, Bovey was forced to wait patiently before finally obtaining her big break. For many years, racing was thought to be a male-only activity, with the exception of those who competed as grid girls. These views are undergoing a gradual shift, and an increasing number of female racers are making their presence felt in the sport. In a refreshing turn of events, Bovey never saw her gender as a barrier, instead focusing on both the benefits and the drawbacks associated with it as she sought sponsorship and moved up the racing ladder. Up next, during an interview on a foreign-language television program, Daniel Ricciardo refers to Lando Norris as an a-hole. Following the conclusion of the French Grand Prix, Daniel Ricciardo tried to do an interview in Italian. However, he made an embarrassing linguistic error while doing so. At Paul Ricard, the Formula One driver from Australia finished an impressive 8th in his McLaren, only 2 spots behind his teammate Lando Norris. Alpine now leads McLaren in the standings for constructors after Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon finished 6th and 8th respectively in their respective Alpines. In what is shaping up to be an exciting competition for 4th place in the team championship, maintaining unity among the club will be of the utmost importance over the second half of the season. After mistakenly offending his stablemate Norris during an interview with Italian television, Ricciardo will have some explaining to do to his teammate. Norris will be watching the exchange. When questioned about Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, whose father was born in Sicily, frequently used the term stronzo, which can be translated either as S-head or a-hole in English. Ricciardo's father was born in Sicily. Ricciardo, who is 33 years old, tried his best to use his language abilities, or lack thereof, while Norris was in the background of the interview. The interviewer sought to assist Ricciardo in preserving his dignity. "Isn't it a nice term to use?" Ricciardo asked. The interviewer advised him that it was a pejorative term that had more negative connotations than positive ones. "Oh, sorry," Ricciardo said as he flashed that signature grin of his. All the while, Norris was in the background getting ready to be questioned himself. Moving on, after finishing the French Grand Prix despite having a broken water bottle, Lewis Hamilton relaxes with an ice pop. Lewis Hamilton's 300th Formula One race wasn't easy for the 7-time world champion, even if it produced his best finish of the season thus far. As Max Verstappen won the French Grand Prix, Hamilton finished second ahead of Mercedes teammate George Russell, who held off Red Bull's Sergio Perez for third and Carlos Sainz for fifth. Along with his competitors on the track, Hamilton had to contend with the searing heat in the south of France, a challenge made more harder by the fact that his water bottle didn't function, leaving him dehydrated as well as joyful after the race. When asked how much weight he dropped throughout the race, Hamilton said, "I didn't look at the figure when I weighed, but it will probably be approximately 3 kilograms, nearly half a stone." Hamilton felt the urge to lay down in the middle of the floor in the cool-down room before the podium ceremony, forcing Verstappen to awkwardly walk past him. Then, during the formal news conference, he ate an ice pop. "That was a challenging race since my drinks bottle didn't function," he said to Sky Sports F1. "I'm in great shape, though a touch dehydrated. I never drink during the race. This is the first time I've attempted it all year, and nothing came out." However, Hamilton was overjoyed that Mercedes could score a double podium finish after trailing the Ferraris and Red Bulls for most of the weekend at Paul Ricard. Finally, Chauvelin revels in a satisfying double podium in Hungary, but warns Mercedes that more is on the way. Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin described the team's twin podium result in Budapest as very pleasing and cautioned the Silver Arrows that further changes are on the way as they seek their first victory of the season. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell finished second and third in the Hungarian Grand Prix for the second race in a straight after their second-place finish in the French GP. After a tough start to the season, Chauvelin was especially pleased with the result at the Hungaroring, thinking it demonstrates Mercedes' closing gap on Red Bull and Ferrari. "This last double podium was very pleasing since we weren't depending on anybody failing out due to a dependability issue," Chauvelin said. "The vehicle pace was also really excellent, and it's always wonderful to have a good race before you go on vacation. We had a lot of ground to make up from the start of the year. We've been working extremely hard trying to bring parts to every race, and it's incredibly rewarding today to see that we are battling with the Ferraris, with the Red Bulls straight to the front," he says. When questioned whether Hamilton might have won the race on Sunday if he hadn't had a DRS trouble in qualifying, Chauvelin said, "The great regret is that we had that DRS problem right on his single fresh tire in Q3. We would have been in a strong position to manage the race if we had both been on the first row. However, if you look at how it plays out tactically, Lewis would have had a very tough time, and this is due to the start tire." Well, that wraps the end of our video today. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on your way out. Thanks for watching.